Today we're going to go ahead and make a gluten-free sourdough loaf. I will start by telling you the ingredients that we're using. We've got potato starch, tapioca flour, brown rice flour, psyllium husk, sorghum flour, honey, olive oil, our starter, and I have already 600 grams of water in here because we're going to be making 2 loaves. Okay, first, so with the 600 grams of water being 2 loaves, we're going to go ahead and put in 40 grams of psyllium husk. So I'll go ahead and zero that out and sprinkle it in until we hit 40 grams. Sometimes it sneaks up on you. And the psyllium husk kind of works as a glue. There we go. Oh, just over. That's okay. We'll go ahead and zero this out. We are going to need 24 grams of olive oil, 12 per loaf. So I zeroed it out, and we're going to go ahead and start again. Give it a little break to catch up. And there we go. Oh, one thing I forgot to include is we are going to include some salt. Okay, let's go ahead and zero that out. We are going to need 40 grams of honey. Give it a second to catch up. Okay. And we are going to need 15 grams of salt. Typically, the recipe calls for 15 grams per loaf. I end up doing around 20 for both. So I will go ahead and add that in. Okay, we're adding in our salt. Typically, with it being so light, it doesn't always capture everything right away. Just to spare you a little bit of the grinding noise from the salt, I went ahead and put in 15 grams of salt. And we are putting it with our KitchenAid and adding in the whisk attachment. And just letting it go for a couple minutes to incorporate all the psyllium husk. You might have to take a silicone tool and just help it get down. Once it looks fully incorporated, which I'll probably scrape the sides a little bit more just to get all the psyllium husk in there, we are going to let it stand for 10 to 15 minutes so that way it can firm up and act as our gluten in our gluten-free sourdough. While we're waiting for the psyllium husk to congeal, we can go ahead and get started on prepping the flours that we're going to be using. First and foremost, we have brown rice flour. Each loaf takes 70 grams, so we're going to go ahead and scoop out 140 grams. And because our starter is made with the brown rice flour, that spoon basically just lives in there. With the sorghum flour, same thing, 70 grams per loaf. I will go ahead and just reset the scale and sprinkle in 140 grams. Okay. Next we need tapioca flour, and this one can get a little bit messy, so I'll just go ahead and use a spoon to scoop. We'll reset our scale to 0 grams. And again, 140 grams of tapioca flour, 70 per loaf. Okay, and then our exception to the 70-gram count is going to be potato starch, which ends up getting 90 grams per loaf, so 180 grams total. Okay, and what we will do last is go ahead and add some of our starter. I try to add about 50 grams of the starter for the two. As you can see, it is nice and alive and bubbly and ready. So we'll go ahead and zero out our scale and add about 50 grams of starter. Okay. Our psyllium husk mix, words are hard, has congealed a little bit. You can see how it's a little thicker. So we'll go ahead and start adding in our flour and starter mixture. And I went ahead and changed the whisk to the bread attachment. And you want to take this nice and slow because a lot of these flours will just go everywhere, as flour does. Okay. Okay, so we'll go ahead and put this down and get this on there and turn it on nice and low. You'll see everything start mixing together. Once we got a lot of the loose flour incorporated, we can go ahead and turn it up a little bit. It will get very thick, so you might have to lock down the head or arm of your KitchenAid. It is slowly incorporating all the flours. You might need to help it just a little bit with the silicone tool again. Actually doing a pretty good job at incorporating everything. Go ahead and move this. Okay, once we're done mixing our bread mixture, I'm going to go ahead and turn the scale back on and take the entire blob and see how many grams it is. We'll go ahead and divide that by 2, 1,364 grams. So we're gonna go ahead and split that into 2 loaves that are around 682 grams. So I'll go ahead and start by just leaving a part in there. And that's pretty great. That's 682 grams. What I'm gonna go ahead and do now is just shape the loaf into like a ball-like situation, just because we're going to be baking in a Dutch oven in a bread loaf pan. So it's pretty even throughout. I'll go ahead and place it in here. Move this so you can see. And then we will do the same exact thing to the other loaf. Just a nice ball-like situation. Okay. Next, we're gonna go ahead and take a tea towel and cover for about 5 hours so it can rise. Here is what we're looking at after about 5 hours. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the oven and get out my Dutch oven and heat that up. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and flip it and reshape it just a little bit so that way it ends up looking like this one. For the next step, I covered the loaves again. I'm going to go ahead and set the oven to 450 degrees. I've got my bread dome. I've got my Dutch oven. I will go ahead and get those into the oven to preheat for about an hour. Once that's preheated, I'll go ahead and pull them out, put some parchment paper around our loaves and put them in, and we'll go from there. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get our loaves into the oven. So we'll go ahead and pull out the Dutch oven first. It's very hot, so you want to make sure you're wearing your mitts. What I went ahead and did was took some parchment paper, and I learned at some point to crumple it up. Not sure why, but it stuck, so we're doing it. And I sprinkled a little bit of brown rice flour on there so it doesn't get stuck to the parchment paper. So we'll go ahead and take the lid off. Remember, it is very hot. So we'll go ahead and use a glove. We'll take one of our loaves. And then we have a tool over here, and we can do whatever design we'd like to do. I'll just do something simple. Then we'll go ahead, put this in here, remembering that the lid is very hot. And then repeat with the bread dome. So we've got our loaf, our crumpled up parchment paper, which I will go ahead and trim that because it's a little awkwardly big for the bread dome. And then we will score it. just a small score. But put the lid on and back in the oven. So a reminder, we are cooking at 450 degrees and we will have this cook with the lid on for 45 minutes and then we will take it out. Okay, it's been 45 minutes, so we're gonna go ahead and take these out. Let the steam come out before you duck in. It's my almost 1-year-old. Okay. I'll take the lids off. Okay. And you can see here that we've got one loaf. And it will have more of a brown purple hue to it because of the psyllium husk, but if you listen, it's a little hard to hear with the 1-year-old. And now we will go ahead and put them back in the oven for 20 minutes without the lid on. Okay, we are back and we're going to go ahead and we'll go ahead and just turn off the oven and get ready to pull them out. Yeah, we're going to pull them out. Remember to let the heat out of the oven before putting your face down there. And they are done. We are going to go ahead and wait about an hour or two at minimum to cut them open. But just so you can hear, we've got a nice crust on them. Just for fun, you can hear how nice they hear here. Yep. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and cut for the crumb shot. We are cutting way too early, but I can't help it. It smells so good. And like I said, it's got more of a purple hue because of the psyllium husk. Sometimes it just does that with the color, but you can kind of see the steam still coming off.